Hey everyone, it's Dave here, and today's video I just wanted to talk about what I think is an impending media revolution that actually may be taking place already right before our very eyes. I've made clear before, I think that we're living through a period of health, social and economic revolution. I think we're definitely moving towards a cashless society. I think that much is clear for all to see. Health passports and immunity passports is looking like it's the direction that we're going in as well. So for those of us who are labelled conspiracy theorists, I think a lot of what we've talked about previously is looking like it is going to come to pass. And I'm going to do a separate video on that, on the vaccine, the mass testing and the freedom pass, etc., etc. And a social revolution as well, in the way people's behaviours have fundamentally changed and how large sections of society have been reconditioned in a pretty terrifying way. Many of them don't realise. However, there are many of us who have been awake all along, or people like me who have woken up in the last few months, and we are growing in number. And I think those of us who are in that group are also have become horrified at our mainstream Western medias. And it is starting to become clear to me that their position is now becoming severely weakened and will ultimately become untenable. And the whole house of cards is going to come crashing down, to be replaced, I hope, by something better, which I'll talk a little bit about as well. So just before I start, if you like my content, then please hit the subscribe button, like, comment and share on my this video as well. I'd really appreciate that. So a couple of days ago, a friend of mine sent me a clip. It was a journalist, I will name him, it was Adam Bolton from Sky News, the odious bully Adam Bolton, who was interviewing one of Donald Trump's legal team. It was a woman, I think she was based in Pennsylvania, and it was shocking the way what he seemed to pass as journalism was conducted. The lack of respect for the person that he was interviewing, the hectoring, the ignorance, the arrogance. And he capped it off by saying to her, "Do you ever actually listen to yourself and think that anyone believes what you say?" And I was just mouth agog, gobsmacked, couldn't believe what I was hearing, utterly astonished. For a career journalist such as Adam Bolton to treat a qualified legal person in this way, a legal person who understands the complexities of the American political system and the complexities of the Constitution, who understands the legal processes that must be followed in order to preserve those processes and the integrity of American democracy itself, to be shouted down by a cretinous, bullying British journalist, I say journalist, who has not the faintest understanding whatsoever of American litigation and law and how it applies to the election and the aftermath of an election, to show her no respect whatsoever, to not listen to her, to not ask her the questions that need to be asked, but instead lectured her, was absolutely unbelievable. Except it wasn't unbelievable. It was shocking, but it wasn't unbelievable. And that's what I want to talk about right now, is that our media is lying to us to such an extent that it's incomprehensible. They are painting day as night, good as evil, slavery as freedom. And a lot of people are falling for it. We've seen it this year with the media coverage, the relentless fear-inducing propaganda that's still going on, has been going on for 9 months now. And it's through that media indoctrination that the public has been reconditioned into behaving in ways that do not serve a healthy and thriving society, or themselves as individuals in that thriving and healthy society. So let's talk about the US election, and let's talk about how absolutely crucial information and crucial stories are being suppressed by not only our media, but most of the media in the US and right across the Western world as well, by people and organisations like Adam Bolton and Sky News. Laura Kuenssberg, Beth Rigby, BBC, Robert Peston, Piers Morgan, all the usual suspects, people who've sold their very souls, who'll blow whichever ways the wind is blowing. And right now, the wind is blowing with a left-wing establishment who wants to impose tyranny on us all, and we have to stop it. And it starts with paying attention, opening our minds, and looking for the alternative story, and looking for what the real truth may be. There's a situation at the moment in America where there is the possibility of mass electoral fraud and manipulation. A story that potentially could be so big that it would be the story of the millennium. Now, I'm not saying that this has anything to do with who the next president of the United States is, although it could well affect that outcome. Not that the mainstream media will tell you that. This, to me, comes down to reporting facts, reporting stories, and being fair and balanced. Now, let's not forget, when Donald Trump was elected in 2016, for 4 years, the media threw absolutely everything they could at him. Their coverage was deranged and unhinged. They accused him of being a Russian spy, of colluding with the Russian intelligence services to swing the results of the 2016 election. There was the Mueller report. They tried to get him impeached. Nothing stuck. Then there was the polling before the election. Biden's 10, 12 points ahead. He's going to sweep the board. No. And at every single point, the media was right behind the movement to challenge Trump wherever possible, through ethical means or not. And now we have a situation, and I'm not going to go into it, but there is millions and millions and millions of examples of mail-in ballots being tampered with, of dead people voting, of people being intimidated, of poll watchers not being able to watch the count. There's absolutely loads and loads and loads of evidence of fraud taking place in the US. I think that much now is clear, that the evidence is there. But you need to move beyond the realms of the mainstream media to know that. Because the mainstream media is saying that there are unsubstantiated allegations of electoral fraud. I didn't know you could have an unsubstantiated allegation. I thought it was either an allegation or not. I guess they're saying there's no substance to it. Well, there is. There's evidence. There's so much evidence there. They're also telling a lie in saying that Joe Biden is president-elect. It is a blatant lie. Joe Biden is not president-elect. He is not president-elect until the Electoral College meet and ratify and certify the election, which they can't do when you've got manual recounts happening in states already, such as Georgia, which is going to take a couple of weeks, and manual recounts which will follow in other states as well, where the majorities are wafer thin, and where there are hundreds of litigations and due process that needs to be followed to pursue a number of legal avenues, which Donald Trump and his team are entitled to pursue. So no, Joe Biden is not president-elect. He may well end up being president once all these processes are complete, but right now, he is not president-elect. The very foundations of American democracy are at stake here. People's trust, Americans' trust in their own democratic system has been undermined and needs to be restored. And that means the process is being followed, and it means the media giving due scrutiny and having a veneer at least of impartiality, because we know how ideologically biased they are now. I think whichever way this is going to go, I think there's a couple of scenarios. I think one scenario is, all of the scenarios, there's going to be some electoral fraud being revealed, which my understanding is not uncommon in American politics. No electoral election system, no democracy is completely pure and free from corruption. We know that. It's becoming increasingly apparent to me that there's going to be revelations of significant electoral fraud, which is going to undermine American democracy itself. Will the media report on it? Now, that is going to undermine a lot of people's faith in the system. It's going to result either in a swing so big to Trump once the electoral fraud is taken into account that Trump ends up getting a second term as president, or it will reveal that Joe Biden did win the election and the fraud that took place wasn't enough for that to happen, in which case Joe Biden will be the next president of the US, but he'll be dealing with a country that is even more divided and where tens of millions of people have no faith whatsoever and will feel that they've been manipulated, as well as being lied to by their media. And to come back to the media, I think so many people now have just had enough of being lectured to, of being patronised, of being told what to think, of having niche issues that don't apply to 99% of the population indoctrinated into them all the time, of hearing incessant and relentless negative angles on every single story, of seeing people, figures and organisations being divided into heroes and villains, of seeing no grey areas anymore. Good, bad. Orange man, bad. Orange man, bad. Orange man, bad. What if, in fact, they're suppressing information because they need to suppress information? Because there are so many people who are complicit in something utterly, utterly terrible going on. What if all the dots can be joined up? Wasn't it strange that the vaccine, the news of the vaccine was released straight after the results, in inverted commas, of the American election? My gut feeling, I've had it all along, is that evil is stalking every one of us and is invading people's minds, invading people's homes because of the media and the power of the media to influence people, the power of the media to paint good as bad, to say night is day, and for people to fall hook, line and sinker for it. They have a duty to report news, to report facts. They don't have a duty to call the result of the US election. That is not their job. They have a duty to take into account and factor in the mental health of the nation. I just think, where's this all going to end up? It's going to end up with a media revolution, which has actually already started, as more and more and more people turn away from the toxic, poisonous mainstream news. Granted, there are still people who hang on their every word, I understand that. But more and more and more people are at best suspicious and at worst have completely rejected the BBCs, the CNNs, the Fox Newses, the Sky Newses, all the rest of them, and turning to alternative media such as this. People like me who are trying to do the job of the journalists for them, trying to paint another picture, trying to find the truth, trying to expose the lie, trying to do something that is value-driven rather than driven by ideology, power, hunger and control and money. Trying to do something that's moves us towards the light, not further into the abyss. And the more and more and more of us that realise that what the media is saying is far from true and is probably an outright lie, and that their intentions are malevolent, How can they be otherwise? Look what they have done with their coverage this year of this coronavirus story. How is any of that normal? So I think they can try and suppress us all they want. They can try and suppress the truth all they want. In the end, the truth will win out. And it'll win out because there's enough people willing to see past the media narrative, to challenge it, to challenge their own beliefs on what they thought the world was. And the more of us that do that, we're going to create something better. We're going to create a world based around values, not ideology, based around ideas, not around propaganda, where we can all have our say and be respected, where we can once again cherish freedom of speech, where we can once again learn to not be offended by every single little thing, where we can choose our own direction and not have the apparatus of the government invading every single aspect of our lives via an evil, poisonous, toxic media that I have such disdain for. I cannot find the words. So, yes, I think there's the potential for something absolutely huge to develop over the next couple of weeks. And I think it's a shame that a lot of people aren't exposed to this story, or they've not allowed themselves to be exposed to it. But look beyond your TV, look beyond what the BBC is saying, and look to see what's actually going on in America at the moment and where it could potentially end up, i.e. with Donald Trump serving a second term. Not saying that is going to happen, but it's a distinct possibility. But the media needs to remember that their job is to report facts, to be fair and balanced. And for as long as they don't do that, the whole thing's going to come crashing down around them. Okay, that's my video for today. My next video, I think, will be on where do we go next with the coronavirus vaccine, the mass testing and the freedom passports, because that is looking into the path that's being forged ahead. Seems very, very sinister to me. So we need to have a discussion about it. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.